Welcome back to another episode of the Fit and Unfiltered Podcast. I am your host, Nick. If you are new to joining us, thank you and welcome. And if you're one of my OG listeners, ladies, I think you're going to like today's episode. We are going to talk about the reframe, the shift in mindset now that summer is finally here. Okay, a lot of you have been dieting up until this point. This is the moment that we've been working towards. Are we going to allow ourselves to enjoy it? How do we transition and actually allow ourselves to enjoy the summer? We're going to get into it today. Amongst other things, like I've written out a whole host of notes about what I want to touch on today, because normally I've got a different theme for each week's episodes, and I feel like I haven't caught up with you all for a while. I mean, it's been a week. It's been a week, but some of you will have noticed that there was no episode on Monday this week. So for the last couple of months, I've been doing 2 episodes a week. And so to have gone an entire week without catching up with you all feels like an age. I was like, no, we can't limit this to one subject. We've got too much to talk about. And it's July. And I know from being a coach and from being a woman myself, some of the struggle, some of the mental overwhelm that'll be going on right now. So I want to get into it. But on that note, going into the summer, ladies, one of my big goals, my biggest goal actually in life, is to get every drop out of my kids whilst they are kids, and to enjoy every moment of motherhood. And so the podcast will be kicking back to 1 episode a week, 1 juicy, amazing, unmissable episode every Thursday. And then when we get out the other side of summer in September, we'll be going back to our 2 episodes a week. It's been a tough decision to do this. And I tell you why, because something that I'm really trying to stand behind is when I commit to doing something, we do it, we follow through, and it feels, does anybody else feel this? Like sometimes it feels like really unsettling to change the game plan. We won't give ourselves permission to change and ebb and flow. And, when a plan is in place, it's got to be rigid and we can't adapt. And I'm going to talk about that today because it's also relative with health and fitness. So I hope that we're all okay with that. I hope that you're all on board with 1 episode a week. I will make it good, I promise. I know some of you have been really enjoying having that Monday episode and it just anchors your week. I will still be showing up lots on social media. So if you're on my Instagram, or if you're not on Instagram, make sure that you are following along. And if you follow this podcast, ladies, make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes. Second little update is that the Shortlist voting line for Best Podcast of the Year at the British Fitness Finals is now open, and I am on the shortlist. We are on the shortlist. Thrive community, which you are a part of because you listen to this podcast. So we're in the same clique. We're all here together, and it would mean the absolute world. I can't even believe that I'm on the shortlist, to be quite honest. It's been a year in the making, and to just have that recognition is huge. But I think I said this on last week's episode. The biggest thing for me is like, oh, okay, the stuff that we're talking about matters. It's relevant. It's actually connecting with the audience, which is, again, why I want to talk about this hot topic today of actually allowing yourself to enjoy the summer, allowing yourself to be present and come out of that constant diet mentality that a lot of us find ourselves in. I've definitely been there before. And for a lot of women, from January this year, you have been striving for a calorie deficit. You've been striving for fat loss. You've been striving for some sort of body goal. And it's always been in a bid to get into the summer and have the confidence, have the energy to have dropped the dress size, to love what you see in the mirror. Well, summer's here. And so whether you are at that point that you imagined, because we've all got these lofty goals in January, haven't we? And then life happens. And then somewhere along the lines, we start to move the goalposts. But whether you are where you imagined you would be or not, summer is here. And it's not going to wait. Time does not wait for us, ladies. And so we have to make sure that we enjoy it. And I want to talk to you today about how you are going to get every drop, the best time out of this summer, feeling confident regardless of the dress size, but also how to make this a healthier summer because it's doable. I say this, not bragging, although it's a funny one, isn't it? Because it's kind of like frowned upon to brag about yourself. You're not really supposed to, but at the same time, because it's conceited, but at the same time, if you are achieving something, then we all want to know the insider tricks. Like I recently have started following on social. This is where I get a lot of my tips and tricks. I started following like different beauty pages and anti-aging pages because I want to know. What am I going to do with this face? How am I applying the makeup? What are we like? Okay, I keep seeing posts about once you're 40, this is how you've got to apply your makeup and you've got to do this differently. And I don't wear makeup enough to be able to get in the reps on this one. So I've had a few social occasions recently and I've just found myself like following along more of more age appropriate content, shall we say. But on that note, I'll get into my unfiltered ladies before we get into the podcast. And it's, again, it's so relevant to this time of year. So for a lot of the women that I work with, when they first come to me and we jump on a call and we'll have a chat and we get to the root of the goals. And you've heard me say this before on the podcast. A lot of the time, for the majority of us women, we want the full shaboodle. We want to drop body fat. We want to look lean, toned, athletic, have the confidence, have the energy, but then we also want to be able to eat in a way that makes us feel good, and we don't want restrictions, and we want all of the things. And most women, I think, and you might be in this camp, feel that they are signing up for fat loss. And that's the be all and end all. If I lose weight, I am going to achieve all of those goals. I'm going to instantly look leaner, more athletic. I'm going to have the confidence. I'm going to have the energy. Well, a simple calorie deficit, by the way, is not going to achieve that. Simple calorie deficit will achieve weight loss on the scales and a smaller version of what you are currently. If you want to change your aesthetics, ladies, we know we need to strength train. But anyway, by the by, the biggest thing that I always come back with to any woman that I work with and we actually decide to work together is we are working towards freedom. And what does that look like for you? Freedom to be able to go to the buffet or go to the restaurant and know exactly what decisions and what choices are going to align with your goals. Freedom to open the wardrobe and just be able to put on whatever takes your fancy because you feel so good. Freedom to be able to shop online and not panic that the latest trend is not going to suit your body because you are so aligned with what works for you. Freedom to be able to go by the pool on holiday and rock the bikini or rock the swimsuit and not feel the need to tiptoe over to the edge of the pool in your cover up, quickly remove it, only to then get in the pool so the water's up to your neck so that no one sees you because you fear the judgment of others. Like, it comes down to freedom. And unfiltered, little mic drop for me, little penny drop moment. And this is where I'm saying about not wanting to brag about ourselves. Last week, kids have got a party on the Saturday. It was actually one of Penelope's friends, and I was solo parenting for the day. Hubby had gone out for the day and the night. So it was a pool party, great timing because the weather was unbelievably glorious, wasn't it? So as it gets nearer to the party, Mum, whose party it was, had said in the group, we've got a gorgeous little class. Penelope's got we've been so lucky, she's got such a gorgeous little group of classmates, and we're all friends as mums anyway. So one of the mums puts into the group and says, if any siblings want to come along, obviously more than welcome. So I was like, actually, I've got both kids on my own on Saturday. So yeah, Isadora would absolutely love to get in the pool. And she said, well, okay, but she's 5, so you've got to get in with her. If the kids are 8 or above and they can swim, then it's like a ratio of 1 adult to every 4 children at this pool party. So a couple of the dads are going to get in, but you'll have to get in with Isadora. And instantly I was just like, yeah, no problem. Like, she will love that. Thank you so much. Then I'm chatting to my friend and I said, we're going to a pool party on Saturday, but I'm getting in and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, wow, you're getting in the pool in front of all the other mums, like in the pool with the dads and the kids. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, oh, we couldn't. No, so I'd have to just take Isadora off for a little walk. Wouldn't she just sit on, a game or something at the sides of the pool? And I was like, absolutely not. Like, if we've got the chance to get in the pool, we're getting in. And it was, so we had this conversation back and forth. And I knew why the thought like filled her with dread. Because the thought of like, oh my gosh, are you like just getting in your swimwear just like at the drop of a hat in front of all the other mums? Like, aren't you going to be self-conscious? And I realised something that I take for granted quite a lot in living this lifestyle is the freedom to just make that on the spot decision, which some of you will also be in the same camp as me. And you'll be thinking, well, like, I don't get where the hang-ups are. But some of you will be in the same position as my friend where you're thinking, yeah, I couldn't do that. That would like stress me out. Like the dads are going to be in the pool and I'm just randomly getting in my swimming costume and the mums are all there, because we instantly, when we don't feel good about ourselves, this is what it is. When we don't feel good in ourselves, we think everybody else is judging us. We think everybody else is looking at us. And it's not conceited. It's not that we feel that it's all about us. It's an insecurity. And insecurities tend to scream way louder in our ears than anything else. And so it was the moment of realization of, oh, the freedom that I talk about with my clients is something that I have day in and day out. And maybe I've taken it for granted, but I want that freedom for you all. I honestly, if there's anything that we will do in the time that we spend together on this podcast, or whether you're inside of Thriving Women Free Community, or you're part of our group coaching team, or we work together one-to-one, I want you to experience this freedom, whereby you have the busiest social month of the year so far, which I had in June, and you get to feel good throughout it all. You get to get in the pool last minute, or the sun comes out and it's not a freak out because your body's not ready yet. Like we're building towards a life of freedom. Freedom in how you feel, in how you dress, in how you show up, in how you speak to yourself. And so that was the unfiltered for the last week. The weather I've got to touch on was another level. And I did speak about this actually on social media because I had a lot of women freaking out. A lot of women that I work with, like, Nick, my body is not playing ball. Workouts are feeling so much tougher. Sleep is very challenging in this heat. I feel swollen from the moment that I get up. I am struggling with constant bloat. Like, I feel like I eat the tiniest meal. And I did allude to this, and I posted this on Instagram. So if you've not been over to check out that post, check it out. I'll link it below in the show notes. But ultimately, this is, again, something else that we're going to have now. We're going to have, hopefully, in the next couple of months, the UK British weather is going to be kind to us. And we're going to have more of the same. So we need to understand, first of all, how to be kind to ourselves. But most importantly, how to look after ourselves. Ladies, summertime is here. And if you have been in the calorie deficit for the last 6 months, up until this moment in time, a lot of women I speak to actually feel like they're always in a calorie deficit, which is wild, because if we were actually in a deficit, we'd all be dropping down grids. But you know, the mental overwhelm of always trying to be in a deficit. And then when you come out of it, you feel guilty, you feel overindulged, you feel like you've let go of the wheel. That's the yo-yo cycle. And a lot of women that I speak to spend 12 months of the year, which goes on then for years on end, if not decades, of constant yo-yoing. That is on a bigger scale. Take any fad overnight fixes out of it. That is the yo-yo cycle in essence in your mind. It's a constant mental battle. You've never really reached that point where you just feel at ease. You're in the driver's seat. You know what you're doing with nutrition. Workouts are steady. You're able to adapt. You're able to adapt to the changes throughout the year. This is a big one, especially this point in the year. A lot of us who are mums, we've got all kinds going on at the minute. We've got end of school activities. My girls actually break up next week. So we've got it all going on. We've got the end of school activities coming up, which also is like, bring a pound for this and bring a goodie bag for that, and you need a new outfit for this. Oh, not a new outfit. We're doing PJ day in our school. So I was like, oh, okay, pajamas need updating. We're also, a lot of us, planning for our own holidays, or maybe your colleagues are going on holiday and that means that your work schedule is going to change. Whatever it might be, July, the summertime, tends to bring on a lot of change, and it's very overwhelming for a lot of women because we don't know how to adapt. So the thought of sticking to our own routine and showing up the way that we've been really trying to in the last couple of months, the thought of the kids now breaking up, the thought of the kids having extra things that we've got to consider, like it's very overwhelming, and rightly so, because it is a lot for us to have to think about at all times. However, what's the first thing that we generally tend to do when we feel overwhelmed or when we feel overstretched? We drop our own goals. It's like we didn't have time for that. We didn't have time to show up for ourselves. I am going to show you this summer, please stay tuned to this podcast, because I am going to show you this summer how we get to show up for ourselves. Maybe some weeks in a slightly different way. Maybe if it's on holiday or it's a summer holidays or it's a weekend or whatever it is, we show up for ourselves maybe in a different way, but it's always doable. And it builds this feeling of self-trust, is that you're not on it, you're not off it. We're going to move away from this yo-yo cycle. We're going to allow ourselves to eat with a little bit more freedom, because this is what we've been building towards. And we're going to allow ourselves to enjoy a healthy, happy, present, confident, may I add, summer. And I've made a little note on this. I've not made many notes for today's podcast because I just knew in my mind that I wanted to have a little catch up and a little chat. I may be in Ibiza as you are listening to this. That's a whole other story. Potentially should have unfiltered on that at the beginning, but we'll unfiltered on that next week. I'll give you the lowdown next week. That's been a whole bag of worry in itself in the run up to going away, because I don't leave my girls ever. And then in the month of June, we've had a trip to London, and now we're in Ibiza, first weekend in July. And so to leave them twice in 1 month feels very overwhelming. Made me feel a little bit anxious, I'm not going to lie. And I know that it's irrational, because I know that they're going to be fine. And I don't know what it is I'm worrying about. My mum said to me, "What are you worrying about?" I was like, I don't know. I said, "I'm worrying about you, my dad. I'm worrying about the kids. I worry because we're away from them, and what if they need something? I don't know." And then there's also been the overwhelm of actually being away in Party Central when I definitely need 8 hours sleep to function. I'm like, I said to my husband, how am I going to keep up with you? You are the chalk to my cheese, 100%. And bear in mind, he'll probably burn and crash at some point when we get back. But I didn't want to do that. My girlies are breaking up from school. Like, there's not going to be any opportunity. So anyway, I will fill you all in on Ibiza next week, because the intention, and it's a little bit off the back of what we're going to talk about, is the intention is to go away and just be present and enjoy it. Because last time we went anywhere child-free other than London it was for our anniversary, our 10-year anniversary 3 years ago. So Isadora was only really little. And we went away for 3 nights. And again, the same build-up of anxiety. But whilst I was away, I just couldn't allow myself to relax. So we were doing really nice things and we were going to nice places. And I felt like I was there, but I wasn't there. There was a part of me, if I'm being completely honest, there was a part of me that was almost counting down the hours to get home. And it's not because I wasn't having a gorgeous time with my hubby, but it was just because I just didn't know how to be present. I just didn't know. I hadn't practiced it. I felt like overwhelm was just part of me. I felt like being anxious and overthinking was just part of me. Like, I was wearing it like a badge of honor. I genuinely was. Like, I was telling myself that, like, this is normal. It's normal for me to be this stressed out that I'm away for the kids. And as soon as we started on the journey home, I remember thinking, I should have just enjoyed that more, because here we are now, it's over. We're on the way home. And I'm right back to the chaos. The kids have had a great time. Barely have noticed that we've been gone. And I should have just enjoyed it and allowed myself to enjoy it. And it's going to be the same for you if we get to the end of this summer, ladies, and you look back and you think, oh my gosh, the holiday with the kids, the days out, the beach days, that random heat wave that we had, I should have just allowed myself to enjoy it, because it's over, and it will be over in the blink of an eye. We're talking now on the 2nd of July, but we know if there's one thing that we could slow down, buy back, make more of, it would be time. And so the intention whilst I'm away is to enjoy, be present, and milk every moment of it. I'll fill you all in next week. But okay, so we want to move out of this constant yo-yo cycle, and it's not just yo-yo with calories or food or alcohol. It's the mental battle of, I'm in a calorie deficit. Oh no, I've fell off the wagon and back on the wagon and fell off the wagon. There's no wagon. The wagon does not exist, okay? There's a way of life, there's non-negotiables, there's a way of living, and that's what we're going to get into a really good habit of. This is how we're going to show up. And yes, you can start this now on July the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 30th, whatever date it is that you're listening to this podcast. Your health is not seasonal, okay? So although I'm talking about taking your foot off the gas a little bit if you've been ploughing away from January the 1st up until now, health as a whole is not seasonal. You get to decide at any given moment if you want to make change. And if it feels as though it's not really the best time because the kids are off and it's summer and it's hot and I kind of missed the boat because I would have been dieting from a bikini, but I'm wearing that next week. So how crazy does that sound to say that you've missed the boat to get yourself in a healthier position? Like, that's just, maybe that's how some other plans may have had you feel previously. That is not how we work inside of Thriving Women. We are thriving 365, and when I say that, I truly mean it. And maybe we'll adapt at different seasons of the month. We absolutely will. I know inside of our community, we've got our second half roadmap coaching next week. So this is a coaching exercise that we do with the team, and we're mapping out July to December. We want to get clear. Clarity is so important, ladies. We want to get clear, and then we want to get clear on the next 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. Like, we're always reframing, bringing it back to refocus and getting really clear, because otherwise it will be easy, even for the women that I work with, to go into the month of July and just be striving for the same as what they've been doing the whole year up until now. Forgetting the fact that, oh, when I started this journey, the point was so I could relax and enjoy summer, but now summer's here and I'm not really ready to let go of the reins. Well, we're going to go through that inside the community, and we're going to make sure that for every season along the way, we know how to adapt, we know how to switch up, we know where we want to put our foot down and where we might want to take our foot off the gas. But if you are listening to this thinking, no, that's me, Nick, I'm not ready to take my foot off the gas yet, then don't. Don't is what I will say. Keep your foot firmly on the gas and do it without victim mentality, without feeling like you're missing out or, I've not shown up in a way that I intended to this year to date, so now I'm having to put my foot down in the month of July, or now I'm really striving for fat loss when everybody else is out enjoying and drinking cocktails. And that's a choice. That is a choice. If you're choosing the healthier route, if you're choosing to keep your foot on the gas, do it without feeling sorry for yourself. And I mean that in the nicest possible way, is that is also freeing, because it's like FOMO, isn't it? It's like we get this FOMO that if we're not keeping up with the Joneses, or our friends are all out, or our kids are eating in a certain way, or our hubby's eating in a certain way, God forbid, reminder, we cannot keep up with our hubby's food habits. My gosh, if I ate like my husband, I would be rolling onto this podcast, I'm telling you. But we've got to just get very clear in our minds that, like, I'm in my own lane, I'm doing my own thing, I'm going to do what suits me, and be okay with that, and not worry that you're missing out, because you are never missing out, ladies. It's always a choice. If you are choosing not to get the ice cream, I always use ice cream as an example, and it's such a small example, but if you're choosing to sit and eat the fruit that you brought with you on the bike rides with the kids and they're getting ice creams, that's not poor me. That's go me. That's a choice that you're making. Let your kids see you make healthy, mindful choices. And then also, flip side, let them see you have the ice cream and enjoy it. What we don't want for ourselves, and we don't want our little amazing families to absorb either, is this constant battle that we're finding ourselves in. So get clear on what you want, is what I will say, is get clear on what you want this month to look like. And know that if there's a lot of things coming into play in the next couple of weeks which feel out of the norm, whether it's end of term, extra curricular activities, colleagues going off on holiday, you're planning for a holiday, be willing to adapt. It's okay if things have to change. Will you still get to show up for yourself if you intend to? Absolutely yes. I had a client the other day and she was like, okay, major curveball. I really wanted to reset this week. And now hubby's working away, my little ones are off school because they're poorly, and this is just not how it was meant to go. And I was like, okay, whoa, quickly breathe, reframe. We still get to reset. You get to reset because you're choosing to reset, but maybe that's not going to look like the power walk once you've dropped the kids off at school. It's not going to look like the morning gym session because your hubby's working away. But it might look like nutrition, reducing screen time, which I talk about this more and more inside of our community now, ladies, because it really is a source of mental overwhelm, and mental energy, mental capacity is also something that can be met. And the thing is that, like, if we overstretch ourselves physically, we feel it. It shows up like DOMS. It shows up like muscle soreness. If you overstretch yourself in the gym, we get that feedback from our body, don't we? Like, I need a rest day. I need to pull back. If you overstretch yourself mentally, a lot of the time, we push through it. We don't acknowledge that feedback. We might feel the overwhelm. We might feel the anxiety. We might feel burnout, quote unquote. But we don't allow ourselves to break from it. We don't allow ourselves to then, okay, I'm going to reduce screen time. Okay, I'm going to put my phone on Do Not Disturb or silent at 8:30, and I'm actually going to stick to it. I'm going to leave my phone downstairs and taking it up instead of taking it up to the bedroom. Like, we just don't give ourselves that bandwidth or that leeway, I should say, because when it comes to mental capacity and mental overwhelm and the way like the dopamine circuit loop works, because the dopamine circuit will absolutely keep you trapped, because you'll feel that scrolling and looking at more is going to bring you back to safety, and it's going to take you out of feeling anxious and feeling overwhelmed and feeling all of the feelings. And it's not. It's a break from tech, from scrolling, from notifications, from being so accessible is what we need. So this is something that I always recommend to my clients, and it's part of our reset. And I'd said to this client, we can absolutely focus on nutrition. We can absolutely focus on sleep this week. We can absolutely reduce and put boundaries around screen time so that you have some headspace. Because what is the reset that we're wanting to achieve? Okay, well, I want to reduce bloat. I want to reduce that couple of pounds that I've gained in the last week or so, just because week away. And I just want to feel back in the driver's seat. Okay, perfect. We do not need perfect circumstances for that to happen. Your mentality has got to be, I can manage what I can manage in the circumstances that I'm in right now. And that mentality is that's another form of freedom, ladies. It's like when we go on holiday and we find ourselves at the all-inclusive or whatever scenario, and we feel as though we're in between a rock and a hard place, because the 3-course meal is obligatory, having a dessert is obligatory, having the mimosa with breakfast is what we've always done. Well, that's just following old habits and behaviours. But there's always an opportunity to do things in a way that align with the healthy version of yourself. So making that goal, getting clear on not just the goal weight. A lot of us are very fixated on the number. What is the identity of the woman who achieves that number and lives there and comfortably resides there? And that is not only the goal weight, that is you. Like, who is she? Well, in your mind, that might be a bit of a broad question, but I would imagine that the goal weight, she doesn't binge drink alcohol. She eats a whole foods diet, largely 80% of the time. She's got clear boundaries. She's got good energy. She listens to feedback from her body. She knows when she needs to take rest. We talk a lot about put your foot down, keep your pedal to the metal and all the other stuff. Really important that we also acknowledge taking rest. Another little anecdote from this week. So one of my clients said something genius in a check-in. Honestly, I was so proud to read it. So she'd said to me, Nick, you know my goal. I want to look like an athlete. I want to look like I train. That is the goal for my client. That's not a dress size. It's not, but it's a level of, she wants to look lean. She wants to look athletic. She wants to have muscle on her body. She's also got a very busy, intense, full-time job, career, is raising a family and has got all of the other things going on. And I said to her, I tell you what we've got to acknowledge before we get into like any form of game plan is any athlete, like a genuine athlete that you admire, they will put as much emphasis on rest and recovery as they do on performance. It will be part of their coaching program. Like an actual part of their weekly routine will be how they rest and recover and what they prioritise. Bear in mind, it's probably going to be saunas and cryotherapy and ice plunge and everything else, because athletes, in essence, this is their career and it's what they do for a job. But I think as women, we look to that aesthetic goal, and I would also, that would be my goal. I would love to look like an athlete. I've got no interest whatsoever to be the skinniest on the beach. I would rather the athletic. Anyway, by the by, our own individual goals, but a lot of us, we strive for the aesthetic and we want to know everything it's going to take to get there. And then if we're told that we need to protect our sleep, we need to think more about rest and recovery, it's like, okay, maybe, like, if I've got time. And we deem it as a luxury. If it's not a luxury, it's not a luxury, ladies. It's part of it. It's part of the bigger picture. It's part of the roadmap to get to the result. And so maybe I'll talk on this more so, because I think inside of our community, it's something we talk about a lot, is sleep and stress management and rest and recovery. And again, I know a lot of you will not feel comfortable allowing yourself to take the rest and the recovery. Same way you might not feel comfortable to allow yourself to enjoy the next couple of weeks and months at maintenance, God forbid, out of a calorie deficit, or allow yourself to just enjoy where you're at. So first of all, if you are going to go into maintenance in the next couple of weeks, maybe you are, maybe you're not, let me know. Come over and drop me a message. Come to Instagram and drop me a message. Nick, listen to the podcast. My goal the next couple of weeks is this. This is what I'm striving for. I will be more than happy. Anyone who's ever sent me a DM, you will know I'm more than happy to have a little old chit chat and give you some direction and give you a few pointers if I think it's going to help. But largely, for those of you who've been in that calorie deficit up until this point, you're feeling okay. Maybe you're not feeling like you imagine that you'd feel. Okay. I think sometimes we over-egg it, don't we, in our minds? Like we're going to feel like Victoria's Secret models if we just stick to this diet. But then we forget that life and stress and kids and fluctuations and menstrual cycle and everything else is also still going to be there. And so if you've been working up until this point and we want to move off this yo-yo cycle, and the calorie deficit maybe not going to be as achievable now because you're going on holidays, you've got more social occasions coming up, just know what your maintenance calories are. And the quick and easy way that I would work this out is your maintenance calories roughly, and I say roughly because obviously we're not working together one-to-one, a lot of us, 14 calories per pound of body weight. Okay, so if you are 150 pounds, that's going to be 150 pounds times 14 calories, and that is your maintenance calories, to which I am obviously going to work out live on the podcast. Let's do it. So you've got 150 pounds. Isn't that bad that I just can't calculate that off the top of my head? So that's 2,100 calories. Okay, now some of you will be thinking, oh my gosh, that's so many. I will start to gain weight. But if you're 150 pounds, let me tell you won't. That's your maintenance. Your body may fluctuate along the way. That is your maintenance. Your maintenance on the assumption that you're doing 10,000 steps a day. So your 40, the principle of 14 calories per pound of body weight is under the assumption that general movement's going to equate to 70,000 steps across the course of the week. If you can't do 10, don't stress on a day-to-day. 70 over the course of the week is what we're looking at. And you're going to get into the gym and strength train. And that's just to keep your metabolic rate strong, healthy, chugging away. Because your metabolism is the rate at which we burn body fat, burn calories. So if we want to be able to consume the 2,100 and stay at maintenance, then we need this healthy, strong metabolism. So first of all, just get comfortable on what that number looks like. Some of you will be thinking that sounds like a lot. Others of you, I want you to recognise that to stay at maintenance, you still got to have some level of control, because how easy is it to fly over 2,100 calories? Like when you come out of your deficit, it's not just a case of, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to just be free from MyFitnessPal and just eat and drink what I want. Like you're going to regain the weight because it's so easy for calories to creep up. So what I'm going to suggest, because again, like a lot of you will just be ready to take your foot off with MyFitnessPal. Ladies inside the Thriving Women community, you know our long-term game plan, our strategy is to live a life of freedom, which includes freedom away from MyFitnessPal. I do not track on MyFitnessPal religiously. Do I? Hell, I haven't done it for years. And again, it's not a brag. It's like, look, it's possible. If you go back through any of my posts or the way in which I've showed up, I'm going to say for the last 5 summers, so since my Izzy's been born, I have shown up with a level of confidence and in relatively good shape. Body has evolved along the way. Lots of lessons learned. I can share them on a separate podcast because it's become a lifestyle. It's become a way of living. And a way of living does not include tracking every morsel of food on MyFitnessPal. But one thing that I would advocate, something that I do, ladies, is base your diet largely on whole foods. And do it because you enjoy it. Do it because you enjoy the freedom and the confidence and the energy and that feeling of well-being and that feeling of being in control. I had a client say to me the other day, so she follows a very similar principle, which I'm going to talk about now. I'll get into sort of like that whole foods just briefly. And she said, Nick, I can't believe it. I feel like a penny's dropped. So she wasn't tracking anything, but she was eating in this kind of way. And she said, digestion's been amazing. Like I've not had any, this client struggles with bloat quite a bit. She said, I've not had any bloat. My energy has been on another level. I've been sleeping great. I just feel amazing. Scales have come down. It's just clicked. And then we've done it for another week. And then the 3rd week it started to feel a bit challenging because old habits, old behaviours, circumstances changed, but in different environments. And it's like, okay. And this is where accountability and support is critical because perfect. We know how good it feels. We know how good it feels. It's the same way we know how good it feels when we don't have a drink or we get the early night. But we don't always do it because sometimes we're unable to take our better judgment and make those better decisions. But it's got to be practiced over time until it just becomes autopilot. It becomes a standard and non-negotiable, a default. So the whole foods diet primarily is your meat, your fish, your fruit, your vegetables, and limited dairy. And I say limited dairy because dairy is so broad and vast and everything is the protein yogurt nowadays, isn't it? And don't forget, inside of that fruit and vegetables, we've got potatoes, we've got sweet potatoes, we've got avocado. Like I'm not talking, you don't have any carbohydrates and it's protein and fruit and veg, but it's smart carbs. Like we're not eating white bagels and, chowing down on big plates of pasta every evening. That's okay in moderation. The whole food diet is 80-20. But what will happen is you will feel, exactly as my client described, more energized, more in control, less constantly bloated and cravings brought under control because you'll reach a point of satiation if you're eating in a way that is largely high protein, nutrient dense. So don't forget when we go into a calorie deficit, or if you just find yourself eating a lot of processed food, a lot of the time what's happening is we think that we need more food, we're craving, but a lot of the time it's nutrient deficiency because, and I can speak on this because I see it in food diaries from new clients. So when anyone starts inside of Thriving Women, they keep a food diary. And as part of our check-ins ongoing, I get access to my clients' food diaries that they're keeping through MyFitnessPal, through our training app. And so we get to see, are you eating enough fibre? Are you getting enough colourful fruit and vegetables in your diet, as well as the protein? I'm going off on a slight tangent here, but we consider protein to be the be-all and end-all nowadays. And it is important, but it's not the most important macronutrient. Protein, fats and carbs are all equally important. It's just that the struggle tends to be eating enough protein, and this is why we yap on about it so much, is that like your carbs and your fats, listen, the majority of women do not have a problem eating enough carbohydrates. We would eat bread, pasta, rice and all the other good stuff till the cows come home if we could get away with it and not gain weight, because we're not looking at our calories a lot of the time based on optimizing health. We're looking at our calories based on, is that going to help me stay at my goal weight? But the goal weight is only one side of it. Thriving is feeling energized, lighter on your feet. Again, like the ability to just put on the outfit and not feel as though you're going to bloat after you've instantly ate your meal. Like we don't want to have to consider something that you're going to be able to unzip halfway through the day and no one's going to notice. We want to be able to move away from that. And so looking at this well-rounded whole foods diet is gonna give you that freedom. So if you are someone who is striving to accelerate results in the next couple of weeks, you want to keep your foot on the gas, you want to turn up the dial a little bit before you get on holiday, follow that diet. And when I talk about limited dairy, for me, that is good quality, organic where you can, dairy. And I say organic because, listen, there's hormones and junk given to a lot of the animals and we'll probably find it in the meat and the fish and everything else. Dairy can tend to cause quite a bit of inflammation, bloating for general population. Even if you're not someone who has an intolerance, if you eat a fair amount, then my personal preference feel that it's a good idea to try to choose a brand that is not giving the cows all kinds of hormones and is giving you the best quality. Given that dairy is often something that can cause inflammation in the first place, we want to make sure that, we're getting as much bang for our buck in the products that we're buying. So the likes of, I buy Yeo Valley yogurt if I can, because I think that's just, it's organic, so checks that box. I will also buy the Farge, how we pronounce it, but I try to buy the Yeo Valley largely. If it's available, that's what I'm getting. I also buy the kefir, gut bacteria kefir, Yeo Valley. Milk for the kids, so I don't really have any milk or much. But the kids will have like the Graham's or the Yeo Valley, and then the cottage cheese. Just try to opt for a good quality option. So the Graham's brand is, again, no hormones given to the cows, which is just amazing. That's kind of what I mean by limited dairy. Obviously, I'm still eating a couple of slices of cheese. I'm still having a bit of feta here and there. That's not always the organic produce, but I will try to get that if I can. And that's just me with dairy. But yes, if you want to accelerate your results, I would absolutely recommend just following that very simple protocol. If it's processed, if it comes in any other form than that list that I've just gone through, just eliminate it and don't overthink it. Like, lose the victim mentality. Oh, I can't eat that pizza because I'm following this stupid diet. Nope, you're not following the stupid diet because somebody is, holding you to it. That's a choice that you're making, and it should feel very freeing. It should be a mentality of like, oh, okay, we're going out on a day trip. I'm going to have to prep my lunch because I want to eat in this certain way, and the place that we're going is not going to cater to that. And be okay with that. Flip reverse, if you want to do it the other way around, be okay with that. There's always a choice and a decision. I think being willing to adapt it's so important. And it really will play into allowing yourself to enjoy this month ahead. And to wrap up the episode, I can't not touch on the mindset of embracing where you're at. Truly embracing where you're at. Your flaws, your imperfections. I know for me, the skin on my stomach. It ain't never going to look like some of what I see on Instagram. Like, I got very big with my 2 babies. I don't know whether it was a skin elasticity thing. I remember someone saying to me a while ago, oh, it's because you had your second baby when you were like in your 30s. How old was I when I had his? 38. So I had my 2 at 34 and 38, 37 going on 38. And so yeah, the elasticity in my skin and my collagen production and everything else probably wasn't the same. But regardless of whether it was, whether it wasn't, skin on my stomach is like a Shar-Pei at the best of times. And then other times I'll flex and I'll catch myself in a light and it looks lean, preen and amazing. But that's not how it looks all of the time. And I've also got a bit of cellulite on the tops of my legs at the back. And, all of these other things that I could pick out, but I won't. I'm just going to embrace, this is me. I feel fit, strong, healthy from the inside out. But more than anything, mentally, I am so resilient now as a byproduct of actually continuing to show up for myself in a way that I said I was going to. And that's what I would advocate for you all to start practicing now, is that we can all pick imperfections. We can all pick our flaws. Are we going to post them or put them on Instagram? Nope, not everyone's going to. So you're going to see the highlight reel. That's a part of social media. We know that. A lot of the time, we're on Instagram because we want to see perfection. You look at the account that have got the biggest following, 99.9% of the time, they are portraying perfection. And guess what? We're all buying into it. We're all following it. That's what we want to see. We want to break from reality because we're using social media for that. We're using it for a break from the reality of life, but understand that in that, the social media is not reality, but your real life is happening and your real body is amazing. And yes, you absolutely can take on the whole foods diet exercise more, make sure you're getting those 10,000 steps, know where your maintenance calories are, eat to your maintenance or put yourself in a calorie deficit if you want to lose body fat. But you've got to embrace where you're at and don't allow yourself to miss a single second yo-yoing, overthinking, overwhelmed or hating on yourself, ladies, because this fear of judgment from others, no one cares. They really don't. Think about me in the pool last weekend. Whether I'd been in shape or whether I hadn't, do you think anyone would have really cared? Do you think the mums by the pool would have really been looking at me thinking, oh my God, like the audacity to wear a costume when she hasn't been on a diet? No. Are they? And do you know what? Anybody who is thinking that, like, let be. Because a lot of it is in our minds, it's in our heads, and we create a story and we create overwhelm, and it's time to free ourselves. So the word of the week, let's do a word of the week, why not? Is freedom. I want you to think about this at every opportunity. The freedom to get up and go and work out at 6 a.m. It's not a chore. It's not something that you are punished into doing. It's freedom. It's a choice. The freedom to get your arms out, put the shorts on, wear what makes you feel alive and comfortable without stressing that you've got the cellulite on the top of your legs, which, as I've just explained, I have also got, and I do all of the things and I've still got it. So at some point, we've just got to let go, embrace where we're at, start aligning our actions and our behaviours to the woman who we want to be, to the woman that we are striving to show up as. And that is the self-talk, the energy, the confidence, the full thing. And so I will say this, taking yourself off autopilot is where it begins. Taking yourself off this automatic diet mentality and eating in this certain way and feeling like we've got to stick to these very rigid routines when actually a lot's going to change this month. For a lot of us, the comings, the goings, the routines, like it's going to change and we can absolutely adapt. We can absolutely thrive throughout the summer. And so I will wrap this up here. Ladies, I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. If there are any takeaways, any questions, or if you know that there's somebody else who really needs to hear this also, please share the episode. It means so much to me and it really helps the episode grow if you share, if you subscribe. And as always, drop me a DM, any questions, any feedback, and I will look forward to speaking with you all, chatting with you all on next week's episode of Fit and Unfiltered.